Yo, 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 what's going on, people? What's going on, people? It's SVD on the mic, aka the design guy. Welcome, welcome to another episode of Community Corner on this Thursday evening. I hope you guys are well. Hope you guys are doing good out there. Hope you had a good, positive, productive day today. I'm all right. I'm doing cool. Not too bad. Not too bad. I say today's episode, we have a special one. We've got Willei coming on. Streamer, producer, whatever you want to call him, all around great guy. So we're gonna get into the discussion. Pretty sharpish. This is no plugs in that today. No plugs in that today. No like shilling of events and stuff. We're just gonna get straight into this one. So I'd like to welcome to the stage our guest for this evening, Willei. Welcome, sir. How are we doing?
Very good, man. How about yourself?
I'm good, man. Not too bad. Not too bad. Firstly, I just want to say thanks for coming on. Thanks for joining us this evening. Thanks for taking the time out to come on the show.
Glad to be here, man. Glad to be here.
Thank you. So, yeah, man. Like, I guess, yeah, just let the people know who you are and what you do. Like, I know who you are, but let the people know who you are, and just introduce yourself. And
this is so funny. I haven't done this outside of an actual business context for years, so I'm give you my professional introduction. But no,
however you want to introduce yourself, that's on you, bro. That's on you.
Okay, now I'm Willei, aka Mr. Esports, aka for a period of time at least, the UK's answer to Team Spooky. Yes. As in a one-man band trying to do too much on his own, but somehow still sort of making it work. I've been running streams since 2017-ish, maybe 2016, somewhere around there. That's when I kind of first got involved with it. I've been playing fighting games for basically my entire since a teenager, and even earlier than that on some degree. But I started getting involved in tournaments, I think around the 18, 19 kind of age, and I'm at 20 years on from that now, so I've been around for a little while.
Fair. Nah, that's cool. So I'd say, like, obviously you mentioned obviously you're a streamer in events. How did you kind of first of all, how did you kind of get into, like, obviously fighting games? Was it just a case of you liked them when you were younger, and then you kind of naturally got into the scene from that side of things?
Yeah, I think I've always kind of, even from a very early age, right? So when I was very young, like 5, 6, 7 years old, like Street Fighter 2 was like the biggest thing in the whole world, right? So Street Fighter 2 was everywhere. Like people 100%. Younger than me probably won't appreciate, but you've probably heard enough old heads telling you about it by now. That, you'll go into a chip shop and there'd be like Street Fighter 2. You go into a corner shop, there'd be Street Fighter 2, and it'd have like 3 fruit machine buttons with like different shapes. So you might get two punches and a kick, but the game was there, man. It really was like a present. So I saw it and thought, this is the coolest shit I've ever seen. Sorry, am I allowed to swear, by the way?
Yeah. Of course, man. It's all good, man. All good.
Right. Glad we got that out of the way. Very
Gotta get us cancelled already. No, of course. But yeah, like Street Fighter 2.
Sorry, go on.
No, Street Fighter 2 just massive. I think I used to play it when I was a kid as well, but I think one of my best memories ever in life was I got the SNES box set with Street Fighter 2 for Christmas, and that pretty much changed my life.
Was it that one with the Blanca and
Blanca, Chun-Li? Yep. Like, I'd gone to the arcades with my older brother and that back in the time, but like when we got our own home console, it was like, I think that literally changed my life. So like, I think I wouldn't be involved in anything that I'm doing now if it wasn't for that moment playing Street Fighter. So yeah.
No, I loved it, man. So I saw it in an arcade and was instantly like, dang, this this is the one right here. It would take me kind of a long time before I'd be able to play at home. I'd play around mates' houses and stuff like that. We had in my household, we had an Atari ST. Oh, wow. Which wouldn't work very well for the game. We got it from one of these computer shops. It wouldn't boot or something. I don't know. Like it was desired in my life for a very long time. And then Atari ST, get crappy old computer from pre-PC era. system, but you would have you'll plug in the controller, and it would be like it basically had the same inputs as the NES. So you had
wow,
8-way direction and 2 buttons,
two
and that
buttons.
was it. But you didn't even have start and select, I don't think. So imagine trying to play Street Fighter 2 with a chunky big joystick like that.
Oh, that's mad.
Two buttons on the bottom.
Crazy. Yeah, I think I had a Commodore 64 back in the day with the joystick like that, and I had the tapes as well. I had one cartridge which was Terminator 2, and then the rest of the games we had all tapes and the loading and.
That took a long time, man. I didn't have one of those, but I had friends that did, and you would start the game to load, and then you would go off and do something else for half an hour. Fingers crossed that it worked when you got back.
Just the noises and the sounds. I just remember like they're just ingrained in my head, man. Like that was the sound and the colors on the screen as it's just loading, and that just mad.
Yeah, it was a good time. Very different time, Alice. I think everything's far too polished and slick these days.
Definitely.
Right? So I guess like that was really like started me off on like it was just like ever present in the culture at that time. So it wasn't until I was in college and on lunch breaks and stuff like that. I'd go to the arcades with people in the breaks. There were still a few arcades back in the day, but at this time, but they definitely they'd seen much better days. There wasn't that much left of it. So I originally went with friends to play pool at this place. I'm from Nottingham, the general Nottingham area. There's a place called Namco Lounge and Q Lounge. It was like a little Namco arcade. We had a bunch of fruit machines, but you go further in, it had like pool tables and games all around it. So I originally went in there to play pool with my mates, and then there was a kind of a Street Fighter Alpha machine there, Alpha 3 in the corner. I thought, let's see what this is saying. And then that kind of started off. I got dragged into the culture a little bit, started playing on a regular basis, and the rest is history from there, really.
Oh, fair. So I guess like, how did you? Obviously, you're playing. You get to a point where you're playing with like your friends and like your locals and stuff. At what point do you kind of get into the quote unquote scene? How did you find yourself into the scene, as it were? And like, how easy was it to get into there at the time?
I guess in a way you were kind of just in it by default there, because you wouldn't just be playing with your mates for very long. Like Alpha 3 was the game in Nottingham, so you'd be playing against someone pretty good pretty quickly if you sat down to play it. So just like more and more time in that was kind of like what was getting me more interested in fighting games. But I was kind of conflicted, right? Because around the same time, you'd had the classic Evo moment 37.
Yeah, of course.
All that stuff. So I was like, I was there playing Alpha 3, and that's the game everyone was playing, like the community standard. But here was me thinking, I really like the look of this Third Strike, and I'd like to play it. So it was kind of playing Alpha 3 and then kind of playing Third Strike on the side a little bit. It wasn't there in the arcade, so I played with like friends now and then like eventually like learned of some tournaments going down in London. It might have been, I don't know if it was the first Neo Empire tournament, but it was one of the first ones that they did. It was it wasn't in an arcade, it was near an arcade. It's a place called Angel in London, which is very close to Central. And it was in some kind of student uni or something like that. I don't remember exactly. It was a big Third Strike tournament, big for the time, which is probably like 32 players or something. Enormous 32-man bracket.
It'd be interesting to go back and see the numbers that were there at the time of those tournaments back then, because I say, like, from my experience, obviously the bigger tournaments were always in London, and obviously I probably came in a bit later than you, but it's like Battle of Destiny and stuff like that. I can't remember.
A few years later, but not that same era, right? So
definitely they're of that same era. See, who did you use in Alpha 3? Actually,
Alpha 3, I play Guy, and I play VCami badly.
See, back then I didn't know about like all like the V stuff and crash cancels and all the rest of it. So I mainly played Alpha 3 on literally PS1, to be honest.
With the loading times.
Exactly. So it's X-Ryu, Relento, and Cody. So those are my kind of interesting ones. So yeah, so you kind of
I dabbled with a lot, but yeah, those were the ones I really stuck with. I like V Cody as well. He's got that weird ducking thing.
Yeah, the dodge, yeah.
And you land one, make him block one jump in combo, and he crushed the guard, which is all good, fun times.
Yeah, definitely. So you
and
kind of
honestly, like just to kind of loop back on that very briefly, the players in Nottingham were really good. No question. If there was an Alpha 3 tournament, I didn't become aware of one until like after it had been. You had Absolution in that time, which was a little bit before me. And you had some of the players who were either in top 8 or very close to top 8 were from Nottingham. That was the one that Daigo came over and bus up everyone.
I remember.
Would imagine. It's also the reason that Trocadero arcade had all the in London had all the versus fighting. The versus City Sega back-to-back cabinets. It was over for that tournament, as I understand. So I just missed out on some of that, but there were some proper top players in Nottingham, so it wasn't like regional kind of bunch of scrubs. It really was a bit of a lion's den, especially for me as a relative newcomer to that kind of I paid a lot of 30p's into the machine to
imagine 30p's back then. No, that's mad. So like I say, you kind of you're playing and you're starting to go to events and stuff and that now, and I guess time just goes on. And when does the transition happen when you kind of go into like the production side, the streaming side? Then was there a specific trigger that kind of made you do that, or was it just a natural progression of how things were going within like the scene, as it were?
Yeah, there's kind of a big gap in the middle of those two things, right? So I would have been going to tournaments pretty consistently from around 2004 to probably around 2007. So the SVB type stuff, when that was coming in, that would have been like one of the last big ones that I went to. And I was kind of on a downswing. I kind of Street Fighter 4 came out, hated it. Still do. Sorry, Street Fighter 4.
No. Street Fighter 4 is really good.
I got no problem with the gameplay. I hate the way it looks.
Oh, fair, because I hated initially. I hated the way it looked as well, because coming from like obviously the 2D games that Capcom have made and stuff, like the Marvels and Alphas and stuff. Looking at how Street Fighter 4 looked, it was like, no, this is.
Well, it wasn't doing it for me. So I was trying out other games around the time. I kind of I played a bit more Third Strike, but there wasn't a lot of local interest in it in my area. I kind of moved on to King of Fighters 2002 around then. Nice. Really like King of Fighters. One of my favorite fighting games. I'm awful at it. It doesn't matter how much time I put into King of Fighters, it's never gonna click for me in that way. So no factor. I started playing Guilty Gear as well.
Okay,
Getting more into it would have been XX / it was after Reload / not a very beloved version of the game, but that was the one when I was kind of starting off. I played with that for a bit. Didn't really hit in the same way, so I petered out around the 2008 2009 period and wouldn't really come back until Street Fighter 5 came out.
Oh wow, so you had like quite a big gap. Battle Fantasia was actually sick. Shout out Justin.
I kept my eye in, but I wasn't.
I enjoyed that game. I'm not gonna lie. I can't remember the pirate dude, the charge character, pirate dude. I can't remember his name.
His name was. Has he got the big hook on his hand?
Yes. That I used him, man. Good character, man.
I can't remember who I played in that game. Maybe Marco or something. I don't know.
Yes. So I say that's quite a big gap. Then you've gone from I was 2008-9, I guess, to Street Fighter 5 came out. So what were you doing in between the gap then, and what brought you back essentially?
A few things, right? So I was like not going to tournaments in this period at all. I was still playing a little bit, but I wouldn't say Battle Fantasy was a main high point, even though Jassy says in the chat. I would say I was playing Persona when that came out, Persona Arena. That was good. Played a little bit of that. Played games like that online. I played the Blaze Blues a little bit. Wasn't big into any of these, but I did enjoy them a little bit online. And NetPlay was still kind of bad, but it was kind of getting there in this era as well. It was somewhat enjoyable to play these things online. So I was doing that. But it wasn't really until Street Fighter 5, and the kind of the realization that there was a bit of a scene again in Nottingham, in the area. There was a kind of group called it was before Robin Hood's, or maybe like an offshoot from Robin Hood. I don't know. I'm not a Nottingham lawman, I'm afraid, despite being there the whole time. But it was a group called Geekzilla, who were like very Smash focused, but they had people who were also playing
other games.
Actual fighting game. No shade to Smash, but it's a different thing, you know.
Yeah.
I don't. No, it's not a fighting game, but it's a Smash and fighting games. This is two very different things, like 2D and 3D fighting games. You know that.
Yeah,
they're obviously fighting games, but they're not the same.
But there's differences. Yeah,
exactly. So they were like Smash focus group, but they had like a few setups for people to play other fighting games there, and kind of Street Fighter 5 was out then, so I started turning up to those. Kind of reconnected with Johnster, actually. He's right there on the screen right now. Shout out to Johnster. I met Johnster probably 3 times before realizing, wait a minute, I know this guy from years ago. from the arcade. So that was kind of funny as well. Geekzilla, eventually kind of the fighting game people split off and either became Robin Hood's, or Robin Hood's was on the wane and then came back or something. I don't know. I became more involved with Robin Hood's, more involved with the organization stuff, and that's kind of really where the transition towards the more production side came along. I will say also in the same period I was playing a lot of Guilty Gear Xrd. I was big on that game, and I was traveling to tournaments to play that as well. I bounced off Street Fighter 5 pretty quickly. I'm afraid. Sorry, I'd say sorry, Street Fighter 5 fans, but I don't think there's that many out there. At least they're not putting their head yet above the parapet for the Street Fighter 5 revival.
Yeah, exactly. The revivals and stuff. But I know when Street Fighter 6 came out, around that time, there's people still talking about 5 revivals and stuff like that. And I know
it hasn't come about yet.
Yeah. I know I dropped off like Street Fighter 5 pretty quick, because I seemed like midway through season 1, I think it was. I was like, but so you start your entering. So how do you get involved actually behind the scenes in regards to being part of the production side, and how is it something that's new to you? Have you got to learn how to do these things as you're going along, or do you have like a background within this kind of realm already, I guess, in terms of production type stuff? Like, I
was really doing it completely from scratch. Completely self-taught all the way up to a certain point, but I really was like figuring it out on my own, and trying to make my way. The reason I got started was I was actually running a tournament in Nottingham. We decided to run my own event, and I thought it was a significant event that they would. Significant enough that there should be a stream.
I
figured the best way to make that happen was it wasn't enough to be the TO for the event. I had to stream the event as well, which is an idiotic concept. It didn't come to pass in the end. I basically pulled the systems together, lined up young Street Fighter 5 player who hasn't been seen for a while, Kurt JC. He was on the Street Fighter, the Gfinity League, if you remember that. Some people may know him still. He was handling the stream along with John Stretch for much of the day. So I picked it all up in a very rudimentary streaming setup to stream that event, and kind of just carried on doing it from there. I figured, I kind of made a little bit of a hash of this, but it was a somewhat watchable stream. You could see the gameplay. The sound was not very good for various reasons, but
it was you got there in the end.
Exactly.
So did you have to?
Sorry, go.
No, you go.
I carried on kind of off the back of that. Well, that was kind of bad, so maybe I should kind of figure out how to do this better for the next time. I kind of offered starting to chat to the other TOs in the area, and you guys want to fancy a stream? Maybe I could come and run a stream there and see what's going on. Try and broadcast your thing a little bit and get some more eyes on it. That was my kind of the thinking that I had, and to try and bring more exposure to the UK. Arguably I failed in that mission, but
no, you didn't fail. Stop it.
It wasn't for lack of trying.
Stop it. So obviously you started like with the first event, I guess, and because you felt like you needed to stream. Did you have to like purchase everything from scratch in terms of like all the equipment and everything else? Did you kind of just I'm committed to doing this now, so I'm going to invest in it essentially? Was that like from the first event, or was it after a while you kind of said, okay, I want to make this a more serious thing?
It was after a while. So there were two things that played into it. So the first one was like I had the opportunity to spend some time doing it. So I recently at the start of that period, I'd gone from a 5-day work week to a 4-day work week because my company were basically couldn't afford to keep me working that time, but still wanted to retain me as an employee. So I kind of had an extra day and extra time to play with, not to shift into my actual career, but a very technical person, very IT focused. I'd kind of transitioned away from a raw technical role into more of a kind of sales ish role. On that side, so I'd kind of like there was this itch to scratch for the side that my job was no longer providing me, and also this like influx of time. So that created the conditions. In terms of like the setup, the Fist of the North Star 1 stream was as bootlegged as you could get. Everything done to the lowest possible budget. So I borrowed a bunch of equipment. Guy, C4IQ, who probably familiar, know him. Shout outs to man like Mace. He came and did some streaming with us as well. There, I kind of bought some extra equipment. I borrowed. Oh, dang!
It's actually in the chat.
Summoning people into the chat. Dang, what a beast. So he came up to stream for Fist of the North Star 2, actually, which jumping forward a little bit, borrowed a bunch of equipment from him, a little bit of know-how from him as well. I would also continue kind of learn from him. Actually, the very first versus fighting that I streamed at, it was actually taking over his stream setup for a few hours, actually. So I owe actually a lot to C4IQ for giving me my start in this kind of thing. The initial setup was so bootlegged that it really was like, okay, if I'm gonna do this, like this stuff is not gonna run. So I had to figure out, well, in theory, like you can run 2 webcams into a computer and it will work. In practicality, this for whatever Windows Microsoft reason, this is terrible. Routinely terrible. Will work 1 in 10 times maybe, and then when you need it to work, it will work 0 in 10 times. So
I tell you, I had my issues with streaming. I've had too many issues, which is why I don't do it anymore. Which is why
that's 2 options, right? You either don't do it anymore, or take my path, which is
because I think I'd say the first stream that I did was versus fighting 1, and I think I streamed up until maybe the 6th one. I think every time there was issues. No, to be fair, there's a few that were all right, but I just think for me, because again, when you mentioned it was kind of like a necessity, and you kind of wanted to bring some more exposure and stuff, I feel I kind of just fell into the streaming side of things.
Someone needs to do it. So
it was kind of that, to be honest, and it was never really my my passion, but it was learning how to do it. And then I think obviously I learned bits and pieces, and then as you say with the cameras, I have 2 of the same cameras. I'm in the testing, everything's fine. When I get to the event, 1 camera's not showing up, and it's problems. It's just hassle. So
the other thing I figured out from this experience was audio cables. I'd run a really long 3.5 mil jack. It was probably 10 meters or something like that. And the sound that came out the other end was horrific. So I was another a lesson in balanced cables. And why that's
I've still got
thing.
I've still got a million audio cables at my mom's and stuff, and all sorts in storage and that. Streaming was just mad. But I think for me, because obviously my passion was the design and side of things and stuff, and I just feel for me, I couldn't. I don't feel like I could commit personally, and I guess financially as well, in terms of okay, it needs to be like a certain standard. I need to get certain things, but like I just couldn't commit because there's other stuff that I wanted to commit to at the time. But I guess for you, obviously, it was different to the point where obviously you've built up your streaming platform, Freeway TV. Like, so how did you get to the point where Freeway TV got into it and you was kind of going to other events and stuff streaming?
Well, that was it. When it became like enough of a going concern to where it's like, okay, well, if I'm gonna do a real job on this, I'm gonna like at least like try and present a somewhat professional appearance. That's I don't have any particular knack for graphic design at all, but I can kind of take things and bits and pieces and at least try and make them look a little bit professional. That's whatever little skill I have is like it's min-maxed and I have all the stat in there and then like zero creativity of how to actually deliver fresh ideas, unfortunately. So I actually like because of that, I was really focused on the technical side of it and trying to make sure that would work properly, just so I could do a better job for the next Fist of the Nut Star. But at the same time, like I really would like try and spend bit more time than the average person would to just come to these locals and like try and like at least make them look nice, right? So I for SFO up in Leeds. I did quite a few streams there. I did their Rival Scenes event either 1 or 2 years, or memory's a little bit foggy on that, but did some streaming there. Did some for NFC up in Newcastle as well. And then obviously was eventually the resident streamer of the Electronic Dojo in the Tom's era, and a little bit before, a little bit after as well.
Yeah. Oh, that's sick. So was it a case of them reaching out to you in terms of, okay, we've got an event coming up, or did you reach out to them in regards to getting the jobs, as it were, for the streaming and stuff?
Yeah, you say jobs, but none of this pays any money.
That's jobs like loosely.
Yeah, this is all local scenes. There's barely money for the pot, let alone anything else. So this is all for the love. So, but yeah, it was a case of I would reach out to start with, and then obviously word gets around a little bit. People start reaching out to you, and I was very happy for the experience. There was a time when I was every other weekend or so, I'd be traveling to another place to try and run a stream there, and it was all good experience. It really helped me cut my teeth and understand at least the technical side. There's a presentational side to streams as well, stream production that's more of an art than a science, and I like to think I've got a little bit better in that over the years. But like my main goal has always been, I'm gonna turn up at an event, I'm gonna show you the event as much as possible. At least in the beginning,
No, that's fair enough. And I remember this is not the Nut Star. Speaking of it, I'm sure I went to, it might have been number 2 that I went to. I feel like I went to number 2. I don't think it was number 1, but I feel it was number 2 that I went to at the time.
We had a very good ED presence at number 2. I remember Justin was there, Ginty was there for
the usual heads were there.
People like that. So
I feel like I probably ended up going to that one, but shout out to
Lavelle as well. So I'm gonna every name is gonna come back to home. There was a lot of people there from ED. They really showed up to support.
So obviously you're doing these events and stuff now, and you're going through and like you're doing a lot more events. Are you finding that you're picking up new things or like learning new kind of skills, like I guess technical wise, in terms of, oh well, maybe I can try this, or maybe I can experiment with this one for this event? Are you starting to kind of, because as you say you're pretty technical, you're starting to soak up more things to kind of implement within the streams and that as you're going forward?
Yeah, exactly. And another one, I promise I'll come back to that. But I just wanted to mention, because it would be remiss of me not to. I was also the resident streamer at Hypercombo Leicester. Nice. In association with Ketchup and Mustard, they were kind of running the local out there, and I was there every other week to stream it for them. So that was also another like. It was kind of like it was more of a hangout, I wasn't really like sharpening my teeth out, but I was just put the stream on, and then I could leave it running. There was like enough people there where someone could take over, run the buttons, change the names on the stream, all that kind of stuff. And
nice.
Go around, mingle, get some food and chat to people and all that kind of stuff. I think
they actually had another event they had an event this week. I think it was Monday or Tuesday. Yeah, I think they came back. Yeah, started to come back again now. Shout outs to that one.
Yeah, mine is mustard, sadly, but it is it's OGs from that era. Especially man like Hersey down there, the Swedish legend. He's running the ship down there, as I understand now. So but best luck to them. I won't be there to stream, unfortunately, but I do wish them all the best.
Yeah. No, so I guess like what would have been just off top before? Yeah, obviously we get into like versus fighting stuff and whatever. But I guess before like versus fighting, and I think before we get to that, I think for me, as you mentioned, obviously as you're going and you're doing the events, like you're picking up things and you're trying new things. I think another reason why I think I stopped streaming was I think the knowledge gap was kind of things as streams are getting more popular and people were obviously moving away from webcams and stuff and things like that. And again, just the investment on my side, I felt like, because it wasn't my passion. And like, I understood like, it needs to be done, but I just couldn't commit. I wish I had the passion at the time to commit to it, because back then, obviously, like streaming was, I guess it was still relatively new and it was growing. And it was obviously such a massive thing now, like every tournament has a stream, etc., etc. And then I think even to the point where with the overlays and things like that, obviously we're getting like HTML overlays and all that kind of stuff and codings and bits and bobs, which is way over my head even today, which is why I come to you all the time when I do the versus fighting stuff. It's like, I think there was just a gap where, because I couldn't learn all of that, and obviously you had the passion to kind of continue that. So like, shout out to you for that. But I guess just quickly in terms of like those kind of stuff, like, because at the time I think when I was streaming, I was using like Stream Control, and I know Stream Control gets used now, but it had the set template, and at the time the template was fine. But then when you find out, you've got to do like top 8 brackets and things like that, was it a case, did you just learn how to do all the back end stuff as well, then pretty much as you were doing your regular streams?
Exactly, yeah. So overlays I'll put aside and come back to for a second, but just from a technical point of view, there's a real gap between putting on a stream and putting on a good stream in terms of just like the raw equipment requirement. So I mentioned webcams earlier. Well, what do you use if you don't have webcams? Well, you need a real camera.
Yeah, exactly.
A camera puts out a feed, so you need something to capture that feed. And this is like, all these things are like starting to add up. You buy a camera that's got the right kind of output, you need a lens for that camera, you have to add that on, you need ways of storing this and transporting as well. So there's a ramping up kind of equipment cost, and there's a ramping up kind of knowledge cost, because each of these things, it's no longer like webcam plug in person. Let's get the camera in the right mode, and let's make sure it's in low light mode. Let's make sure the aperture length is correct, so I get the nice blur in the background and all that kind of stuff, right? So there's like a huge like learning curve with all this stuff, but as a Guilty Gear player, I'm always looking for a technical solution.
Fair enough.
That, I was very happy to like dive down these rabbit holes and like try and find the best way to do things. So I was very like focused on not just having like a high quality stream, but also having it that I could take with me. So I'd have this enormous Canva backpack. I'd have my 2 big like Sainsbury's enormous like carrying bags with all my equipment in, like tripods over my shoulder, and I would just walk to the event, like 80 kilograms of equipment or something like that. And I would make sure everything I could use I could set up inside of an hour, and then start the stream on from there. So really the overlay stuff was an extension of that. Very happily by this point, I was kind of in contact with more streamers, especially Rare Connor. From down south, who kind of helped me out with a lot of stuff. I was very strong on that technical side, but HTML was programming. I don't have a programming background or a computer science background or anything like that. I'm more of a technician. So it was kind of helping me with that kind of stuff. There was also a lot of tutorials coming out at this time. Great one still to this day is one by American. I don't know what he's known for. He was known for Soul Calibur at the time, but BG Callisto, he was a kind of big contributor to kind of like public knowledge of this kind of stuff. He really kind of threw the ladder that, laid it down behind him so we could all climb up. I still, when I've the occasions when I've taken on streaming in other places and they've handed me in a kind of a, here's your overlays, here's the packets, and get them set up in OBS. I can see as I look in the code, yes, this is BG Callisto. This was the a distant child of his work.
Fair. And I was I have to shout you out for obviously all the help that you do with Versify, because I know last year I sent Will the overlays stupidly late. Obviously, I've designed everything and I sent them over stupidly late, and he done all the animations and all the rest of it, done the package.
You got it hooked up.
Yeah, I appreciate that. But as I say, you're getting the overlays early this year. So I guess again we could touch on Versify briefly, but how many events would you estimate that you've probably done over your time, like streaming and stuff? And what would you say has probably been like 2 or 3 of like your favorite events that you've done?
I guess like if you add up all the little stuff and all the weekly stuff, I was doing like the regular ED stuff, the regular hyper combo stuff. I was still doing like even the smaller stuff in Nottingham. So we're probably somewhere between 50 and 100, I would say.
Wow.
Overall streams that I've ran over the years. So that was the second part of that question. I completely forgot. Sorry. Run it past me again.
It was like
favorite events. That
like favorite events. Like I'd say like top 3, like no order, like in terms of, and they can be for like any reason, like personal reasons or just actual event reasons, like essentially like.
I've been accused of being a negative person over the years, and I find that the bad events come to mind a lot more easily. But in terms of events that are good, it's very hard not to say versus fighting. To be perfectly honest, this is kind of like the series of events where I have faced the absolute minimum amount of bullshit from the organizer and the arbitrary requirements and last minute requests and all this kind of stuff compared to the average, and also been paid for the privilege. So it's it's easy choice from that side. In terms of events that I've been at, I talk, I guess, more from a kind of player's perspective. That might be outside of the streaming thing. I would still have to name Versus Fighting. The first one I went to was 6, maybe. It was the last one before you moved to Millennium Point.
Yeah, that was the one in the studio.
Yeah,
and it was like 4 floors.
Yes.
Yeah, that was the last one I streamed at because I had some issues. I specifically remember I was streaming Mortal Kombat in one of the rooms, and like I think one of the twins were playing at the time. And I don't know what was going on with the capture card. Like, obviously, I'd done all my testing and blah, blah, blah. And then they're playing, and then the screen just goes black. Like, on their monitor, it just goes black. And then it pops back up, and then I'm just like, oh, my God. And then it happened like maybe 3 times, and I don't know if I actually went to Mace. Someone borrowed me a capture card to try and like sort it, and I don't even think it worked. And I was like, okay, I'm never streaming again. I'm never streaming again.
Oh man, let me tell you the amount of times that I've been like, I've encountered not even a problem like that. Although I have encountered those. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I've been watching a stream that I'm producing. I'm watching the preview window, and I see, hang on, that froze for 3 frames.
Yeah.
What's the reason for that? And then I've spent hours and hours like really trying to like pull that thread through and figure out what's going on. But dealing with that live at the event is that's a real
horrible.
Test of your metal. That is.
Yeah, it's so much pressure, and then like the stream chat's going off saying what's this, what's going on, and then just people around you in the event.
All the usual.
Yeah, all of that, and I think at that time as well, like I was just exposed. So like people like that I know, like obviously from Dojo, and oh, Stephen, can I leave my bag here? Can I like? And I was just out in the open basically. It was just a horrible experience, to be honest. But you learn and go through these things. But I remember the actual first one that I did, which was Versus Fighting 2. Speaking of like things freezing, I remember it's classic moment. So it's Marvel vs. Capcom 3 is playing, the match is going on. Like I'm here in front, I can see it's going on all right, and then they're playing like that over there. So it's going on fine, and then it freezes like as Akuma's in the air. He does his demon flip, and he's in the middle of. He just stopped on my screen. He stopped. I was like, "What's happened?" So I looked across. I'm looking at the screen. The screen's still playing, and everything's all right. So I'm thinking, "Oh, that's strange." 2 seconds later, I get a blue screen. I get a blue screen, and I'm just like, "Oh my god!" And then literally, I just restarted the because I had a big old PC at the time. Restarted the PC, and then it was all right. And then the stream for the rest of the weekend was fine. But yeah. So, have you had any horror stories like that streaming, basically?
Yes, I have. I guess the worst ones have been kind of internet based, where it's really like this is sucking and there's nothing we can do about it. One of the worst ones was an event I'm not going to name because it's probably a little bit rude, but there was an event where the Ethernet cable for the feed for the stream was right behind the commentators table, and it was in a very insecure socket. So if you nudged it, you lose the connection. So that happened like a couple of times in testing. Like had situations where like basically we'd like tried to armor it as much as possible. So we got like a roll of like duct tape, like put it on around it, balled the whole thing up in tape, barred people from walking down around the back of this area just to like try and like
so no one
stop it from happening, right? So and still there was like some situation where someone just like pushed past and like tried to walk behind to get to the other side, knocked the cable, and it's like it's hard to stay calm in situations like this. I don't think I have done it successfully every time.
Fair. Yeah, again, there's so much things that can crop up. Again, I remember Versus Fighting 4. I was streaming from 4G dongles.
I think your audio is buzzing a bit. If I'm
is it
me at my side?
No, I feel like it's probably my side.
Oh, it's good now. Yeah,
cool. Yeah, I remember Versus Fighting 4. Like, we were streaming from 4G dongles, and it was just mad. So we've been through quite a few times, but I guess talking about Versus Fighting and stuff. Obviously, I think you said that your first one that you came to was 2016. When was the first one that you streamed at, actually? And then how did you find it in comparison to, like, obviously the other events are like smaller in comparison, but in terms of just like on your technical side of things, how did you find it? Did you have to do anything different?
So I came 16 as a player. That was the first Guilty Gear Exit tournament I ever entered, actually, or maybe close second or something like that. I remember I played against a guy called the Jackal, who was like this beast from France that's like seldom seen or heard of since. And I got him first round. I was like, well, time to take my my ass whooping as the first game of the tournament on the stream. C4 IQ stream that one. Thanks very much for that, amigo. If you had a hand in the bracket, but good time. So that was 16. 17, I was first one at Millennium Point, the current venue. I was not streaming there, but I did help out C4 IQ, I think, with a bit of his stream when he was there. And then I think the year after that was the first time I was streaming directly there myself. And I was working on streaming, I think it was Super Turbo. I think it was, I could be mistaken, but I think the first time I was there, kind of in an official capacity, I was streaming the whatever tournament series that was. It was like a, Jassy will probably know if he's still in the chat. There was like some kind of like tournament series with big money on the line and like flights to somewhere in America for a grand final. So. The good thing about obviously Versus Fighting is you get like a lot of the top players coming through, especially for a side game like Super Turbo that everyone played. So the likes of Justin Wong and people like that coming through to play and having a good time. So it was very nice to be streaming that. I think I was also on the next day streaming Fighting EX Layer again, which was speaking as C4 IQ said, as the third condiment that was there with Ketchup and Mustard. They were kind of running that show, running the kind of the commentary in the tournament. They were TOing as well, and I was running the stream kind of in the same area the next day. So that was Tournament of Legends. Yeah, there you go, Johnston. That's it. TOL. That was the tournament, and the overlays were not good. I tried my best, but that one didn't quite come to fruition. If you look up that versus Fighting 2017 or 2018, whichever it was, Tournament of Legends, you're going to see an absolutely horrible color scheme with yellow and grays, and it's like it didn't. There was a nice idea, but it didn't work very well.
It didn't work out. Fair enough. So I guess how I guess in terms, obviously you've done like quite a few like versus fighting and stuff now, and I say with streaming like versus fighting, did you feel like you had to do anything different in regards to how your stream was? Was there any adjustments that you had to make to kind of fit, I guess, the scale of how versus fighting is, or was it just business as usual, just go in and do what you know, I guess?
I think to the beginning it really was business as usual, because I was kind of in the side areas on the side games, so I wasn't on the big stage yet. So that would come a little bit later, but it was kind of in these little self-contained areas. Games that are secondary, you're often waiting for players, so it's a bit more casual than the kind of the big main games and the top eights in the auditorium and that kind of stuff. So I would say, like, in terms of like my methodology, my technology, I didn't really bring anything different from that side, but I really did try and like put my best foot forward. Awful grey and yellow color scheme notwithstanding. Actually, I can't remember if it was the following year or the year after, but I was streaming Samurai Showdown.
Okay, nice.
And the overlay package I put together for that, which was completely pieced together from kind of like things that I'd taken from the Samurai Show website. I'm really proud of how that actually ended up looking in motion. I did, of course, I just had like a few JPEGs to work with, and I pulled all these animations and nice little bits and interludes and stuff. And I was really happy with the way that turned out. So I really did like try and put something like truly professional together.
Yeah, I remember that tournament as well. I think was Kazunoko that one.
He was definitely up there. I remember waiting for Pekosu in the top 8 for a long time, because he was obviously in Tekken.
I think he was in Tekken. Yeah, I think he was
also in Tekken top 8, which was taking place at the same time. So he was like coming back and forth. It was what's his name? Famous Guilty Gear Soul player, whose name is escaping me right now. The guy from down London.
I'm not sure.
C4IQ will say if he's still there in the chat. But no matter, he was kind of also in top 8, so we had good UK representation there as well. It was just a nice kind of laid back tournament. There was Super doing the commentary as well. That was good fun. So yeah, it was a nice vibe for that tournament.
That's sick. So how, I guess, obviously you've done a couple of events, you've moved on in that now. Obviously you streamed not last year, the year before, in the IMAX like auditorium. How was that experience, and how was that again in terms of the logistics, in terms of where you're placed and how the players and all? Did anything change? Did you have to adjust to kind of accommodate the scale of, again, the streaming in the auditorium? Was it Tenrai?
Tenrai, yes, it was.
Shout out, Alex. What
a memory on Alex. Nice one, man. So I would say that it was very daunting moving into the auditorium. There was quite kind of like a middle step up, right? So after these kind of like side rooms, we were in. I guess that would be called Connect Room, or I don't know if this is probably me. Anyone
Connect is correct. Yeah, Connect is the one where Samurai Showdown was.
Yeah, so that side room, and then like after that, I was in the what we call platform, which is like as you're going up to the auditorium, you walk through that area, kind of on the close to the big doors and the entrance. There's like usually a stream around there, some games around there, and then you go up the stairs into the auditorium. So I was streaming in that area for a couple of years. So I had a bit of time to kind of like build up to it. I think I did one of those streams on my own, and that was probably the last time I did that. And then Jess came on the kind of next year and really kind of changed the game, moved me on from being a kind of a one-man band, having to sit there for 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 hours in a row, depending on the demands of the stream, to being able to kind of take the odd break here and there, even if it's just 10 minutes to stand outside and get some fresh air in throughout the course of the day. So that was real good that I got the chance to do that. Kind of and get used to working with other people. As a lone wolf, it's kind of like very easy to be protective of things and like hold on to everything because you know exactly how it works. And you fix every problem because you know it all. But
I know how you feel. I know exactly how you feel. I remember it's like I settled the sheep. Well, see if it can help it. Nah, it's cool. I got it. Because you know where everything is. You know how it's supposed to be set up, and you're protective of like your stuff and how everything works and stuff. So I get it.
Exactly, and you kind of don't trust anyone either. It's like there's like you need to if I get you to do it, I'm gonna have to explain it to you, and then I'm gonna have to check it afterwards. So I might as well do it myself.
Just do it yourself.
Mindset, right? But the reality is, like when you face these situations, right, where something goes wrong, you don't have the time in the world to fix it. You need people who can help you, and that if you don't have that and it's all on your head. Good luck fixing that. Fair. So in terms of like kind of go back to the question, like switching up for the big area, the auditorium, it was daunting because you really are in that, like, you're not setting up like you are normally in the hustle and bustle of the area with everyone around and everyone's having a good time and getting stuff done and getting ready for the tournament. You're in there in the silent auditorium and you're there on your own and it's dark and even with the lights on, of course. So it's you've got all this equipment that's not yours and you need to make it work. It's not your familiar stuff. Like it can be like you can bring your stuff in as well. But you know, the scales involved, you can't be running like 50-meter HDMI cables, to the front of the auditorium. You need to use what's there in the auditorium. It's like, it's why you pay for the auditorium. It's got all that stuff prepared already. So getting it to work with that is a little bit stressful because you bring in kind of unknown elements than usual stuff and all that kind of thing. So it's kind of very like
your stuff working with their stuff essentially and making sure compatibilities and things like that.
Exactly, but the first time I was in there, of course, Jess was with me as well, as mentioned, and she was kind of handling the audio stuff. So it was really good for me to be able to like have that, a V1 A1 split where she's going to handle the audio, I'm going to handle the video, and we both know our roles and communicate on that basis, and everything is going to run smoothly. We also had Ben Rickana come through and really help with a lot of that stuff with his experience from those things as well. So between those two things and the ever helpful event staff from Millennium Point, JP, remember one of them, JP. I don't remember the other guy's name, unfortunately, but he's also awesome. That's it. Those guys, I guess JP's team is really awesome there. So they helped out a lot. The people I worked with helped out a lot, and also Justin was very accommodating. And Harry, there you go. Justin was very accommodating and understanding of like, he asked me to put this show on here, and he knew it was my first time, and he did everything he could to try and help out.
Sick.
And so the rest of the team as well. Don't let me say Justin fixed it for me. Like in reality, the whole team like really pulled together, including yourself, Stephen. So it was
I appreciate it.
very helpful. Jinty was coming through as well, offering to get us things, pieces. They were the game runners as well, were like super cooperative. Again, especially Jinty. Shout outs to him for like really getting the people lined up for the games, keeping them. You're going to stay
together.
You're not going to go away 5 seconds before you're supposed to be called on stream. So that kind of thing is very well handled. It took a lot of the stress out of it.
That's fair. So I guess obviously you've done that now. I guess what do you have any like would there be any like tips or advice that you could give to people that kind of want to get into streaming or are already in streaming, and just obviously if you have like words of wisdom for them, I guess, or like things that to look out for, or just like resources where you kind of not. Obviously, you mentioned Busy Callisto earlier, like.
I think you should have a very clear and realistic goal with what you're doing. That will be the main thing. Like I think I won't say I'm not disillusioned. I'm not unstuck. I'm still like I'll still be happy to stream at VSF. probably will be this year, at least in some capacity. Probably not leading as I have been in previous years, but I will be there at the very least helping out. Whereas I think there was a point in time where I said kind of earlier in the show I was trying to put the UK in more of the spotlight, and I kind of thought that actually one of the things that was missing was the professionalism and the quality of the streams was really lacking. As it was a lot of like people figuring it out, having a go, and not getting the best results. So I thought bringing some quality to it would really help that, and I was dead wrong about that, to be honest. Like the streams that I did in the local events, like other than ketchup and mustards with stuff in Hypercombo Leicester, this was very successful, and it was very successful because Ketchup and Mustard have an audience that they're building. They're professional commentators, and they're always streaming kind of day after day after day, and like building up their own community. So that stuff went great. We were able to get a lot of eyeballs on the Hypercombo Leicester scene that wouldn't normally have been there. We got a lot of extra people to come as a result. It was hugely successful, but it was not on the back of the quality of the stream. That was just an enabler because they built this platform for it to happen. So the other events, and especially my own Robin Hood's events, and also the other regional events, we had a stream. The stream was good quality, and probably typically up to 50 people who are like friends of me and know the scene. And there are probably people sitting here thinking, "Wow, you got 50 people to turn up to your stream." So I was like, wow, that would be a dream come true for me. But in reality, that wasn't the kind of I had kind of bigger intentions. And I was definitely putting in the quality. But there's a point in time when you have to say that I could spend £10,000 on my equipment and get the best of the best. And the reality is, this is going to bring in 0 new viewers to the stream. There's a diminishing point of returns, and it arrives very quickly. So just be realistic about what you're trying to achieve, what your goals are, and don't be afraid to reevaluate. Don't get stuck into something if it's not working, and don't be afraid to just change things up. Like don't feel like you. I see all the professional streamers, they have this same overlay shape. I see they have 2 cameras pointed at the players. I'm going to have 2 cameras in my overlay. And now it's top 8 time. I'm going to put the top 8 on the screen right now. And all that kind of stuff, right? The formula of tournament streaming right now is very stale. It's very ripe for disruption, I would say. So don't be afraid to kind of put your own spin on it and do your own thing.
Maybe I think of some ideas for versus fighting. Maybe. Well, I understand what you're saying. Like, there's a very kind of formulaic nature of how these things are displayed in like across the board, and I think there's, I guess, because the formula is the formula and the tournaments work out alright. But I guess there's still, of course, room for like innovation and trying new things and getting new stuff out there and stuff. So
that's it. There's kind of just to kind of run back to a hanging thread that I left earlier in the session, which was I mentioned earlier on, like my goal was to just try and put the spotlight on these scenes and like present the scene as it is, and that was kind of like that's the philosophy that I've had through most of my streaming careers. Like this is your guys. I'm here to broadcast and show you to the world. Reality is that's probably not enough for a streamer to do these days. I think you need to bring more circumstance to it. What I was trying to do with Three-Way TV is kind of build up a bit more of a community just around UK tournaments, and that never really came to pass, unfortunately. But if that would have come to pass, it would have been good. It would have been something I could take to more tournaments and kind of bring the spotlight to them in a more real way. And in terms of like what you can do with the events, like I think you can actually contribute more as the streamer. So the auditorium experience is kind of a key example of this. Actually, it's versus fighting. So because obviously we had myself and Jess working on it kind of full time here, that meant that we had the freedom to do a little bit more. So Jess was kind of playing with the coloring system, the colored lights that they've got there, bring more of this experience into the venue and make it more of an occasion for people than it otherwise would have been. And that's something that I've kind of I see actually the guys at is it Visual Platform? These guys are doing actually a very good job of this. I would say actually, especially in the things that they bring to these events to kind of like it's not just a stream they're producing; they're almost producing the event. That may or not be what you want as a TO, but that is what they bring, and there's definitely value in that. So I think if there are ways that you can kind of lean into improving the event that you're running, but however it is, most of them cost money, of course. But hiring cameramen to like follow people down as they walk does not come free, unfortunately. It's a tricky business, but that's the way I see kind of stream production going, and not just from the big professional outfits like the ESLs and people like that. For smaller scale streamers as well, I think that's important to try and consider how you can boost the event itself.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. So I guess what's last question before we head off, what's next for you then in terms of like for the future? Like I guess first of all, where obviously you've kind of spoken about where you kind of see things going, but I guess for you, what's next for you? Are you going to any other events soon? Or are you kind of what's in your future? Like where do you think like things will go in the future?
So for me personally, the next event I'm at is very probably versus fighting, and the next event after that is also probably versus fighting the following year. So I'm probably, I mentioned it again all the way back at the beginning. Play Third Strike. I still like Third Strike. Downstairs from me right now, there's a Third Strike cabinet, so it still holds a place in my heart, so to some degree. So I'm. Anytime Gutter Trash is trying to come back, I'm trying to head down and see that as well. But that's about it. I don't see myself traveling for the locals anymore because I just don't play any of these games. So the current crop of games.
I was gonna say, do you play any of like the newer games at the moment, or not really?
Hell no. No, it's like it's kind of like when I mentioned it, I dropped out with Street Fighter 4 because I didn't like it very much. Same things happen. No disrespect, Street Fighter 6 is a lot better than Street Fighter 5, but it's not holding my attention. KOF 15 was my last kind of roll of the dice of like, I'm going to try and take this game seriously for a bit, and then net play basically didn't work. So so that's that. I'll probably buy Garo when it comes out and play it for up to 30 hours, and that'll be that as well.
I think I'm literally in the same boat. I think before, KOF was the one that I kind of played semi-seriously and like learning and stuff and whatever. And then Garo, I played the beta, which was I really, 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 really enjoyed it. So I would definitely pick that up, and then we'll see how long it lasts. We'll see how long it lasts.
Yeah.
I really enjoy it though. I really enjoy it though.
I know there was a beta, right? But I always like to just wait for these things to come out.
Learn
it and then have to learn it again, right?
Exactly. And then
I've only got limited space left in this.
100%. So am I.
So I'm waiting for it to come out. But I'm looking forward to trying it because original Garo is one of my favorites. Big fan of Garo. Never had much of a competitive scene in the UK, but I've always been a huge fan of the way it looks. So.
So have you got any shout outs or anything before we head off?
Shout outs to the Dudley boys, the Dudley World Order, of course, which I remain a proud member and always will until the day I die, I think. I think that's it. Shout outs to everyone in the chat. Shout outs to Western Supermare, man. Melagrano Music says. So kind of everyone here already is there ain't no names I don't recognize in the chat. So shout out to all you all for coming through and listening to my nonsense story for a little.
No, it wasn't nonsense. It was definitely great to have you on, man. I appreciate you taking the time out to come on and obviously share your wisdom with us and the knowledge. And I've learned things as well about you, and obviously in terms of streaming, and there's been some similar stories in terms of the struggle of streaming as well. But so thank you for coming on. I appreciate your time. Before we go, now I've got to do a little bit of shameless self-plugging before we go. LittleMiloBooks.com is my series of children's books that I've done myself, author illustrator. We got plush toys, we got coloring books, all that good stuff. LittleMiloBooks.com. Just get them for your kids, nieces, nephews, whatever. This is my personal side hustle essentially, outside of all the versus fighting stuff and other design related stuff I do. So just support if you can, please. That's much appreciated. Shout outs to Johnson, LittleMiloBooks.com. See, he knows the link. He knows the link.
They got a regular here.
Yes, we do.
Man like Johnson.
No, but again, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Thank you guys in the chat for joining us. We'll be back, I think, next week. I need to confirm. I'm sure I've got another guest on for next week, but just keep an eye on our socials to find out who's on. And so you can follow us Electronic Dojo on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Electronic Dojo UK on Instagram. Please follow us on there. I say we lost our main account on there about maybe a year ago now, so we're still trying to build back up on there. But for everything else, just keep it locked to Electronic Dojo. We'll be back next week, same time, same place. Willei, thank you so much. I appreciate you so much, man. And as I say, you're gonna get the overlays very early this year, so you can work your magic on them. But I appreciate your time. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone in the chat. We'll be back next week. See you later, guys.
Last word before you close it out, I want to say, Gui Gear Exert will rise again.
See you later, guys. Oh, man.